Welcome to Daily Devotion with Ken Gurley. Devotions designed to inspire you on your daily walk with God. Here's your host, Ken Gurley.
Hey, good Wednesday morning to each and all of you. Thank you for being a part of our Daily Devotion family. Good to have you here. Linda, good to see you. Sissy, good to see you. Each one and all. And I mean, everyone that's in the galaxy of and are in your orbit, your periphery. We welcome each and every one of you here today, and thank you for being a part of our Daily Devotion family. Going strong now. Well, I wouldn't say strong, but going now here for 6 years, and we are in the midst of how we began in 21 days of prayer, fasting, just devoting ourselves in these intervals of the year to getting a new year off right and to see some great things happen before this month closes. I believe it can happen. I believe God's blessing and doing some amazing miracles. For those of you part of First Church, tonight, prayer service at 7 p.m. Don't want to miss it. We had a great prayer service last Wednesday night. Join us and let's devote ourselves to God. Thank you for all of your kindness, your condolences over someone who was very significant to us in the passing of the last day or so and the events of last weekend. So thank you, Barbara White. She was an instrumental person in so many people's lives. So thank you for that. I'm believing that God is going to touch us here today and help us. And as you can see, it's me up here. It's just me. Tessie's, she may be out there somewhere in cyberspace. She's not a lurker, but this means that I am still, yes, this is where I'm at. And it's a long story. It's a sad story. It's a tale of pain and woe. But hopefully, someday, I shall be out of the doghouse. Eternally successful. That's what I want to be. Whether I'm temporally successful or not, I want to be eternally successful. It's in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Alice comes to a junction in the road, and she had several choices as to which way she should go. So she asked the Cheshire Cat, Cheshire, would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? And the cat said, well, that depends a good deal on where you want to go. And Alice said, well, I don't really care very much where I go. And the cat said wisely, then it doesn't matter which way you go. Because if you're not concerned about your destination, then what matter is the road that you choose. But in the spiritual realm, it matters tremendously where we go. Not just in a simplistic term that we're choosing heaven as our home, but are we choosing light over darkness, influence over ineffectiveness? What are we choosing? It's perhaps the loneliest passage in all of the New Testament. Paul in Ephesians 2 is describing who we once were. He said that at that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without God in the world. We were on the outside looking in, aliens, strangers, no hope, no God. But all of that changed one day, and we became part of the citizenship and the citizenry of heaven. It was a song we once sang growing up in church. Never thought much about it as a kid until I heard a man sing it standing beside the casket of his young wife. And the song suddenly made a lot of sense to me. He sang that day the loss of his wife, the loss of the mother of his children. This world is not my home. I'm just passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me towards heaven's open door. And I can't feel at home in this world anymore. That we don't belong here. We who were once aliens from God's world, when we're born again, we become strangers to this world. Our allegiances change. When heaven becomes our goal, our energies turn toward it. G.K. Chesterton once described this change in his life. The modern philosopher, Chesterton said, had told me again and again that I was in the right place, but I still felt depressed, even in acquiescence. I had heard that I was in the wrong place, and when I heard it, my soul sang for joy like a bird in spring. When you know you're in the wrong place, nothing will do until you find your way to the right place. And the right place is in another world. We're citizens of heaven, and we're just passing through. That's why each and every day, your life, my life, if we're going to have a successful 2026, if we're going to have a great Wednesday, if we're going to have a great day, a great week, each and every day, today, we must begin our day at the judgment seat of Christ. Because one day we will stand at that judgment seat. And we need to purpose now and each and every day that we're not going to hang our heads in shame when we get there. And if we're going to stand triumphantly in that day, then it starts today. That we stand before that judgment seat of Christ. And we say, today, I want to count for you, Lord. I wish you'd just say that wherever you're at right now. Today, I want to count for you, Lord. If you want to be eternally successful, begin each day at the judgment seat of Christ. Or as Stephen Covey said in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. Covey said in that book, to begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now, and the steps you take are always in that right intended direction. Well, as a child of God, we serve the Lord. Our highest delight is to hear him say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. But to hear him say, well done, Don, Diane, we've got to do well. It's what it takes to be eternally successful, an effective servant. Let me just give you real quickly 5 attributes of the eternally successful servant. 1 Corinthians 4:2, we serve the Lord faithfully. That's first. Now, it doesn't mean we win all the participation trophies. It doesn't mean we always come in first. We're faithful. 1 Corinthians 4:2. That's eternally successful. Second, 1 Corinthians 4:5. We serve the Lord with proper motives. I'm not serving him to avoid hell. I'm not serving him to get a gold star on my chart. I'm not serving him just to excel over someone else. My motive is right. Third, you serve the Lord to the fullness of your potential. Luke 12:48. You may not be a 5-talent person. You may not be a 2-talent person. You may be a 1-talent person. But you serve the Lord to the fullness of your potential. This is where comparing ourselves with others is not wise. Because God gave each of us treasures, talents, abilities, inabilities, weaknesses, impediments, strengths, assets, treasures, weaknesses, propensity for failure. You serve the Lord. This is the third way you know you're eternally successful. You're serving the Lord to the fullness of your potential. Here's number 4. Serve the Lord in accordance with your opportunities. Matthew 20, verses 1 through 6. In other words, you can be blessed, you can have talents, you can have ability, but that window, that door may not open for you. I like that old saying. I really do. Harold, Todd, I like that old saying, bloom where you're planted. In other words, I can't necessarily choose where I've been planted. I can't necessarily choose whether the seed falls on the wayside, the thorns, the good ground. I'm just going to determine with the potential that I have, with the blessings God has given me, and with the opportunities that afford themselves, I'm going to serve the Lord. That's number 4. Number 5, serve the Lord by letting him work through us. Galatians 2:20. In other words, you're not going to be successful every day or eternally unless he's working through you. That is not the flesh that's going to bring glory. It's the Spirit working in you. So we're beginning with the end in mind, that we stand at the judgment seat of Christ each and every day. We stand there and say, God, one day I shall stand before the bema. I shall stand before that ascended platform to receive rewards for those things done in this body. I don't yet have that incorruptible body. I've got that old body of sin that I'm carrying around. But Lord, if you'll give me the grace today to make a difference, so that when I stand before you, Lord, I won't have an uncrowned head. I will stand saying, Lord, here is what you did through me with what you gave to me. I think it's a matter of priorities. You begin with the end in mind, and then you make sure that you keep first things first. God comes first. We know that. His day's the first day, his portion the first portion. Let me give you 3 prioritizing principles, though, if you're going to be eternally successful. And Henry Agnes, I wish I knew these things as a kid. I wish I knew these things years ago. 3 priorities. Here, listen to me carefully. If you want to be eternally successful, remember this. Number one, remember this. People are more important than programs. When people came to Jesus, they went away changed. Because Jesus was and is in the business of changed lives. People matter. Not buildings, not accomplishments, not programs, not books, and I write books. Not schedules, not podcasts, not music. People. People. Everything that you can see on this earth will melt one day with a fervent heat, but the souls of men will live forever and ever. If you're going to get an eternal focus, then get your eyes toward people in need of God's saving grace. The day you finally realize that people mean more than accomplishments, and people mean more than degrees on the wall, and people mean more than likes and kudos and your name being known, you're going to look at your family different. You're going to look at your relationships different. You're going to look at your church family different. I watch it all the time. I've seen it all the time. I was raised in the Houston area, and I've seen it all the time. A lot of churches in Houston area, a lot of great churches in Houston area. But I watch people that get mad at other people in a church, and I watch them jump to another place, and I watch them burn bridges and relationships. Folks, life is too short to constantly burn through relationships. Someone said, if you end this life with 5 close friends, you are most blessed. But couldn't it be more? Couldn't you form relationships? Couldn't you be one of those people that just stagger? I was reading a story the other day and about a janitor in a local school that died. And I read later that it was based on a true story, but it was fictionalized somewhat. The janitor in the school died, And an announcement was made just in a student assembly that the janitor died, by the way. And they were having 10 seconds, a moment of silence. And finally, one student stood up after the moment of silence and said, he called this man's name, and he said, "This man helped me with calculus." And he was a star football player and athlete. He said, "I was going to flunk out." And he said, but he found out I was struggling, and he sat with me. Come to find out, the janitor was a retired engineer, and he helped me pass calculus. Then another stood and said he found out that I was hungry because he caught me drinking water from the fountain hour after hour to keep my stomach from grumbling. And he took me to his locker and gave me granola bars and gave me a food cart he said he found on the floor. And then another said he provided me a winter coat when I didn't have one, and on and on and on and on. Do you hear me? People matter more than programs. And you can affect people's lives as much as if you're a janitor, as if you're the CEO. You just got to get it in your mind. It's people that matter, not programs, not the who's who, whether I'm invited to sit at the head table or not, whether I get the solo, whether I'm the one that's recognized. That's why I love team ministries in and around the church. I see these teams do such outstanding jobs cheering each other on. People matter more than program. I'm giving you some principles, some prioritizing principles in your life. You need to begin with the ends in mind, but then you need to keep the first things first. And here's the second prioritizing principle. Not only are people more important than programs, hear me carefully, purity is more important than popularity. Popularity is fleeting. About half of British children today don't know who Winston Churchill was. Wow. But when Winston Churchill's biography was read and his life passed, they said in 1,000 years from now, his name will be popularly known. It will conjure up a warm glow, a proud smile, and signify what is bold and generous in human nature. But British children today say, Winston, who? Fame is fleeting. But purity is forever. We are preparing ourselves for a life to come. As a bride on her wedding day is the way Scripture does it. Oh, I feel the presence of the Lord here. When you think of that wedding garment, that righteousness, that righteous wedding garment, snow white, radiant, pure, it's being sewn one thread at a time right now. Horace Greeley once said, fame is a vapor and popularity an accident. Riches take wings and only one thing endures, and that is your character. Paul said it to Timothy like this, keep yourself pure. Remember, purity, more important than popularity. Here's the third prioritizing principle. If you're going to be eternally successful, you've got to value. You've got to weigh eternal success as greater than temporal success. The Lord's our example. By the time his earthly ministry was finished, the multitudes had turned away. And those who hadn't were shouting, crucify him. So alone, so forsaken. Isaiah 53 was like a sheep before shearers dumb. What seemed like a failure at Calvary was eternal success. He purchased redemption for us. To live, Christ. To die, gain. Live, Christ, die, gain. Those words affected Paul. To live, Christ. Die, gain. Aim for eternal success. So how are we doing today? Are we keeping our eye on the goal? Do we begin each and every day at the judgment seat of Christ and then work backwards? Is the tyranny of the urgent destroying our ability to focus on what's really important? if you're not satisfied with the impact that eternity is having on your now, then I'm going to share with you 5 things. 5 things you need to do each and every day. 5 practical ways to let eternity into your life. Number 1, set aside time today to talk with God. Don't underestimate that. Give God a room. Give Him place. Shut the door. Wait on God. Talk out loud about how the momentary is crowded out the eternal. Ask Him to forgive you. Number 2, write out your personal mission statement. Do you have a life verse? I found mine a few years ago. I keep it. I keep it in my daily journal. I read it. Do you have big objectives? Write out your personal mission statement. If you want to begin with the end in mind, then write down who you ultimately want to be, what you want to be. Write it down. And say this, who I am. These are my values, my convictions. These are the principles upon which I stand. Why? Because when our living doesn't match up to our writing, we know we've strayed from God's intention. And the quicker we realize it, the quicker it can be rectified. 3, make a list of what you want to accomplish before you die. I'm not talking about a bucket list. I'm not talking about Everest. I'm not talking about visiting the lavender fields in the south of France in July. That may sound very personal, but I want to do that. Skydiving. I'm talking about things that have an eternal impact. Write it down. John Goddard was 15 when he sat down in his home in Los Angeles and wrote my life list. Put 127 things on that list, 127 goals he wanted to accomplish. Not trivial things, huge. But at the date the story was told, he had done 108 of the 127. If you want to make your life count for eternity, write down who you feel God is impressing you to impact. What you're doing for tomorrow's generation. How doing something affects the lives of people. Write it down. Write it down. Number 4, assess the eternal value of each thing you want to do. Look at the list carefully. Assess the eternal value. Pastor, I want to spend 3 days shopping in Paris. Well, that may sound like a lot of fun. And if you have the money, I'm sure it would be a lot of fun. But at some point you ask, how does this affect eternity? How does this change the lives of people? You begin to weigh things out. C.S. Lewis said most people, if they had really learned to look into their own hearts, they would know that they do want, and want acutely, something that cannot be had in this world. Those are the sorts of things in this world that it offers to give it to you, but it never can keep its promise. Write down those things of value. Then number 5, and I'm going to use an expression, you either know what it means or you don't know what it means. Get the big rocks in first. Yeah. Came from an old story, a time management expert. He tells about a group of students sitting in class. The instructor produces a 1-gallon jar, sets it before them. He takes some large fist-sized rocks, put them in the jar. He said, is the jar full? The student said, yep. Pulled out a bucket of gravel, poured several handfuls of gravel in the jar, shook the jar, and the gravel fell around those bigger rocks. He said, now is the jar full? The student said, yes. He reached down, pulls out a container of sand, pours several handfuls of sand over the mouth and jar, shakes it until the sand drifts down the space. He said, now is the jar full? And the student said, yes. He reached down, pulls out a pitcher of water, starts pouring. Water fills into the tiny spaces until it's full to the brim. And when he's finished, he asked the students, what's the point of this illustration? One student said, well, no matter how full your schedule is, there's always room to fit more things into it. And the speaker said, no, that's not the message. The message is, if you don't get the big rocks in first, you'll never get them in there at all. Get the big rocks in first. God, others, family, church family, friends, colleagues. These are the big rocks that touch eternity. And this is how you know if you're keeping your eye on the goal. This is how you know. 2 ways. Look, I would say in years gone by, look at your checkbook. Open up QuickBooks and see what your spending looks like. That pretty much reveals where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It reveals a lot about what we value. And then look at your calendar. What's your schedule looking like? Are you really investing time in the people who matter? How do I change my life? It's not great resolutions, just one day at a time, one decision at a time. Stand before the judgment seat of Christ each and every morning. Look long at that judgment seat. And remember, one day we will stand there. And we will give an account of our own lives. And if I'm going to be eternally successful, then I need to be successful today. Only one life. So soon it will pass. Only what's done for Christ is going to last. I hope this has blessed you. KenGurley.com. Check that out. Go live a great, successful life today. Pour yourselves into the lives of others and watch great things happen. Would you take a moment, like, follow Facebook, subscribe on YouTube X. Take a moment to share this with someone else. And thank you for all your kind words and just being a part of this today. Thank you for being the people that you are. And I pray you are eternally successful. God bless.
Thank you for sharing in Daily Devotion with Ken Gurley. We pray this ministry has been a source of encouragement and strength to you. Please be mindful that your financial support enables us to meet with you each day. To give a donation or connect with us, visit our website at KenGurley.com. There you will also find the latest books, podcasts, and resources. Blessed 90 Days to Change Your World is Pastor Gurley's latest book. You can get your copy of this life-changing book at KenGurley.com. May God's favor rest on you in every way until we meet again.